What's going on, guys? It's your boy Anthony alongside the best Big 3 account in the universe, Big3 News, aka Will, back with another edition of the Fourth Man, a pretty jam-packed edition, uh, I would say. I mean, we got a couple interviews on here, we got some important dates to go over, and we're going to do all of that. But first and foremost, got to introduce the legend himself, Big3 News, Will. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing all right. I think you gas me up a little bit too much sometimes, so I feel bad for some of the first time listeners who think, like, wow, this guy must be crazy, but really, I'm just a guy with an iPhone. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate being on the podcast as always, and I'm looking forward to, like you said, a jam-packed episode.
Yes, sir. And I can either gas you up a lot or not gas you up at all. There's no in between. I got to go max out or not enough. But that's besides the point here.
That sounds like a separate conversation for
this is sounding weird now. Okay, so let's get into some of the news. Before we do some of that, actually, let's go over some of the housework. If you want to find the show on social media, or you want to find the best Big 3 account in the universe on social media, at Big3 News, at Fourth Man Pod, at @A_Siggy. And if you want to watch the show on YouTube, it's youtube.com/fourthmanpod. Guys, that content's only going to get better from here on out. It's also sometimes great to be able to see some of our guests on there that we've had on, such as Rick Barry, Michael Cooper, Nancy Lieberman, some of their reactions to it. I always love that they have like a Zoom background. I find that funny. Lots of good content coming on the YouTube side, so make sure you're subscribed over there. And if you, as always, for those of you listening on Saturday on the Nothing But Net channel on Dash Radio, we appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in each and every week. We appreciate Dash Radio for having us as well. All right, let's jump into it. I think last week we left off with letting you guys know that there were, in fact, ideas about when the combine would be, and then the fact that a tryout would be held sometime in late May. Those dates have now been announced for both the tryouts and the combine, Will. The 22nd is going to be in D.C. for the first tryout ever, the first ever open public tryout for the Big 3. And then the following week on the 27th of May, they will have another tryout in Dallas, Texas. And 5 people from each of those tryouts will be selected, and they will be able to join the Big 3 combine. So super exciting stuff. A minimum of 5. So it could be more.
Could be more.
Could only be 5.
Can't be less.
Can't be less than 5. So we'll see how much talent pulls up to the draft pool. It should be pretty exciting. I know, Will, you had something that you thought of that could interfere with some of that for our overseas guys. But before we get into that, I just want to say that the combine has been announced that it will be on June 5th. Our guy Will did a little bit of digging and found the dates on there on the Big 3 website. So June 5th will be the combine, pretty shortly after the tryout, and then we'll have to figure out when the draft is. When it's usually right after the combine, but we'll figure that out as we continue to move on. But Will, first thoughts of this, are you just glad that we have dates?
Well, yeah, I appreciate you lobbing me credit on finding out the dates, even though it really was just me reading the website. But I really have to give you the credit because, like I said before we started recording, I was listening to last week's episode, just going over things, seeing where we left off, and you actually predicted spot on when the combine was going to be.
Did I say
you
June
were
5th?
you're like, I'm thinking probably first week in June for the combine.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I don't think so.
I'm getting used to this Big 3 stuff.
Honestly, so credit to you for that. So, and as my dog is going crazy, she's just as excited as I am.
I'm just really
excited that we finally have tryouts. Like I said in the last episode, we've been talking to a lot of people who are really just excited to try out, and there's a lot of talent out there, obviously. Besides the people who are overseas or maybe the people who are, we mentioned some of the big names. There are a lot of guys who I truly feel could compete for spots in the Big 3 given the right opportunity. And this opportunity has arrived. So I'm really excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it. I think Dallas and DC were 2 places that I wasn't expecting to have open tryouts. I know, what would I say? I mean, it gives an opportunity, I guess, for all over the country, different places. Not everything is in Cali. I know I was talking to some people who were a little concerned with that. They're like, I hope this whole thing isn't going to be in Cali. And I was like, I don't know. It could be.
Just because of some of the restrictions that California has over other states, right?
That's true, too. And I was just thinking even more, too, how West Coast the Big 3 is. I mean, it is a West Coast league.
It's very centralized, and it feels like really just LA, not even California, just like LA centric. Will, you did mention something to me off the podcast before, even before today's show, about this potentially interfering with some of the overseas guys who, might have not played professionally, so they might not have like the automatic invitation to the combine, but it affects their part in being able to try out.
Yeah, I mean, I just was looking through the comments on like the big three social media, and I saw a couple of guys basically saying that they're overseas right now and that their seasons don't wrap up until
Mm-hmm.
after when the combine and presumably the draft would take place. So it's
Yeah.
really not an opportunity for those guys overseas to come to Vegas in person and showcase those talents. So, I don't know if those were some individual cases. I don't know if every team in every country has the same type of schedule. I do know that most of them, like it says, are around May, June where it wraps up. So I guess those people would just go right from their EuroLeague seasons
Mm-hmm.
to the Big Three combine and draft. But like you said, Anthony, also too, this is the way it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
So
We just
I
haven't
don't
had a
know.
tryout before.
Right. They just haven't had tryouts before. It hasn't been this open before. So I
Well,
don't know. It'll be interesting to see moving forward if this is something that they'll have to adjust on the fly because they're not getting the reception that they would have.
yeah, I mean, the trial is going to be a big indicator if this is, going to be well worth it for years to move along. This is still in a point where things are being configured, as the seasons continuously improve and we can continuously have more. But I would say too that, if you're playing pro overseas, you do have that automatic invitation to the combine and even the draft pool. So you do have the opportunity. This is a league that really empowers players, and they want players to be able to pick guys that they play with. So, if you have the right connections, it could help out. I know, not everyone has the name recognition of Mario Chalmers to stick your name in the
Right.
draft pool and still get selected in the third round and not even be at the combine or the draft. But I do think that this is a league where connections matter, guys matter. Um, and then, I mean, don't get me wrong, the combine is vitally important. We saw Chris Johnson go number 2 for a reason because he had an outstanding combine, and we've seen other guys in the past for the same reasons. But I do think too that a little bit of the advantages of it's just networking and knowing the right guys, and sometimes that can work in your favor. We've heard from a couple guys that it worked for them. We don't really know how their combine performances was, but maybe the ultimate trait or ultimate asset was just to have somebody they know. So in that regard, I don't want to like discourage anybody from trying out or at least entering their name in the combine because one, you just never know, and then two, injuries happen a lot in this league. We saw Power go through about 10 or 11 guys last year and have a different starting three like every game it seemed like. So I think there's certainly room, and I think there's continuously going to be more room, as this league gets
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah, no, I think you make an excellent point, and I would say to those guys trying out, the combine is definitely I would always recommend that if you are serious about wanting to play in the Big Three, you got to get to the combine, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
say that. But I would also be lying if I said that everybody who gets drafted was at the combine, and everyone who's had success in the Big Three was at the combine. I would say the majority of them were, but not everybody. So if you're killing it overseas, I think that tape is probably going to be better than, the open runs of the combine or however they run it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too concerned. But I also too think, we talk about it a lot. I think it's just another way, and credit to the TBT who structured their schedule for these overseas guys.
Yeah.
How they just come right over into the TBT, and it's just sort of this built-in thing. I mean, they've really etched themselves into this this little corner or this little staple of the basketball calendar.
Yeah.
Like it's TBT time, and guys know that. So credit to the TBT, and the Big Three is still figuring that out in a way, and especially with how the NBA shifted, everybody has had to sort of shift and adapt around it.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll just be interesting to see. I just thought, it might be a small point, might not even affect everybody. I just thought it was just an interesting thing that maybe there's some guys in Europe who this prolonged start for the combine might adversely affect them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, I went through some of those big three comments, and I did see some concerns from some overseas guys. So I definitely think it's a point worth mentioning. I will say, in terms of the TBT and the big three, not that we're not fans of the TBT, but I do feel like the TBT is more of like the common area where everyone's accepted in and
Yeah.
allowed in. and then you have the VIP area, which seems more like the big three. And this is nothing because of the league or because I think the big three is way better or anything. It's just more so like the big three has limited exclusive spots almost in a
Well, that's
sense.
true. Yeah, I mean that's just the
And
truth.
you also get paid to play in the big three. You might not get paid to be in the TBT. So, there's different advantages to it all. I think TBT being more open, you definitely, open up room to have more guys in it and not feel like anyone's left out. But at the
Right,
same time
there's
with the big
64
three,
teams in the TBT.
right,
It's 64 teams of 5v5. Big 3 is 8 teams of 3v3. Or
exactly,
12 teams.
12 teams. And so with the big three, there's a lot of advantages once you make it. Maybe the hard work and grind is worth it in order to make a team because there's like, I'm saying this repetitively, but there's a lot of advantage. And then two, the other thing I wanted to mention is I've been watching a lot of big three drafts lately, just from
You're
season two, from
prepping Mel
season three.
Kiper?
I don't know if I'm prepping or I'm reminiscing more, but
Okay.
I definitely missed it, because season two is such a closed in, compact group of people, and they just have it in kind of this smaller ballroom. And then they moved to CBS for season three, and they have like what is it, the esports arena in Vegas and the
Yeah,
pyramid,
yeah.
It's just a whole different atmosphere. It's so crazy to see the advancements. But one thing that I didn't realize is I was watching Three's Company make their first pick, back when they were picking Andre Emmett for the first time, rest in peace. Andre Emmett was like, we don't, or I'm sorry, not Andre Emmett. Drew Gooden was like, we don't reward guys that didn't go to the combine. So I don't know how every team feels about that. I don't even know if Drew Gooden and Three's Company feels like that. But just to your point, the combine can be very important because if you don't go, you could potentially be writing yourself off to a couple teams that didn't see you, and then you also don't know those guys. So, it could hurt you in that way.
Well, I think Three's Company is a textbook example of how to draft in the big three.
True.
And they are very reliant on what have you done for me lately?
Mm-hmm.
And 3v3 combine experience. I mean, Dermar Johnson has been on the show. He's talked to us about what he looks for in players and how he drafts.
Mm-hmm.
And it really all has to do with the eye test. A lot of it is the eye test and what are you doing in front of me? I want to watch you play. I don't just want to look at the cherry picked highlights that you're going to put together on a mixtape and send me.
Right.
I want to see the good possessions. I want to see the bad possessions. And so I think a lot of teams are, if they aren't doing that, they're smart to that because Three's Company has probably had the best track record for finding gems in the big three draft pool.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Anthony. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And exactly what you said too, the pool is so deep. I just feel like, how many guys could you possibly have the opportunity to scout at the combine?
Yeah.
It feels like these squads are going to have to rely more on their co-captains to go out and look and recruit and scout some of these guys because there's no way that one man or even two man, the coach and the captain, can go out there and scout such a deep pool of professionals, amateurs, overseas guys, people at the combine, people not at the combine.
Yeah.
Celebrities at this point. I mean, the big three just tweeted at J. Cole, basically asking him to join the league. So
they want him so bad.
They want him so bad. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see. I mean, this off season is such an experiment in and of itself. And the end product, the end rosters that make it to opening day are going to be very unique and very interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I just want to say one, the rosters are going to be consistently changing even up to the draft. Like I've said, I've been watching a lot of the drafts and I didn't even realize like the day of the draft, Killer Threes found out Al Harrington's not playing and Frank Nity's going to be a co-captain. That Enemies found out Lamar Odom's going to be a co-captain. So a lot can change even leading up to the draft. You might have to change your strategy just like Killer Threes did. But also too, I wonder if there's going to be like any captains who like go out of their way and they're like, let me just hire someone to be a little scout or hire a couple guys to be a scout.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we'll pay you, X amount of money if you just do this for a month, just scout some guys.
Right. Or even just a one-time thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like it's just getting to the point.
The tryouts. Yeah.
It's just getting to the point where people have their identities, but also too, like teams and captains are getting very serious. We know that DeMar Johnson prides himself on being a GM, an A-class drafter. We know that Power is that team that's just like, what's the word? Like well-class,
right. Yeah.
That, they bring to the table. They're very
a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So, teams are starting to have their identities, and they pride themselves on certain things, and they're competitive and just nature, being guys who have hooped all their lives. So we might get to the point where we're just going to see some some crazy things. We just don't know. We'll have some crazy draft and combine stories.
Yeah, I think we're heading towards it, especially. And I guess one question that I'm really interested to find out, and I hopefully we'll get some firsthand encounters, but we talked about it. A minimum of 5 people, so a minimum of 10 total. 5 from DC, 5 from Dallas are getting invited, are getting flown out to this combine. How are those
Wow.
how are those 5 determined?
It's a good point. I don't know if captains made the decision or they just go to the head honchos and say, Cube, Jeff, it's up to you
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, 'cause I would have to imagine that Thomas Scott is involved. I'd have
Yeah,
to imagine
definitely.
that the coaches, I don't know, but that'll be very interesting to see. And I wonder if all 12 teams are going to send some form of representation to
That's a good point too.
each tryout.
That's a really good point too. And you got to think it's gonna be fun. I mean, these guys are paying $500 to try out,
Oh yeah.
and you look at it like an investment as a hooper, but you also too are like, I'm not gonna lose my $500 for nothing.
No,
So
definitely. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Can you imagine if
so
you paid 500, you just put up a stinker of a performance? How
God,
I'd be
that's a lot
double
of
pissed at
pressure.
myself.
Yeah,
It is a ton of
double
pressure.
pissed, like double slap in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Down the right leg and the left leg, just pissed.
Exactly. So a lot of good stuff coming up. I think the most important thing is that we have definitive dates. That's something that we've been missing
Yes.
for a long time. And that's something that gives us a lot of hope. I was honestly just kind of reflecting, and this is the last thing I'll say before we get into our 2 interviews, but just kind of reflecting on the past 6 months that we've had. And a lot of it's been whirling and twirling and up in the air, a big roller coaster ride. But really, it's just crazy. And I want to say that we're both very grateful for the people that have listened, that have stuck with us. I know that you've mentioned that a couple times, Will, but also too, just for the league to be back. It's a good feeling. And, we love the league a lot. We have a lot to talk about. And hey, it paid off to be patient. And, here we are. So, we appreciate everyone who's stuck around. And because of that, we're going to end today's first half with not one, but 2 interviews, as I mentioned. We have Kareem Rush, who is an OG member of the Big Three, played for the original Three-Headed Monsters team that went to the championship, played one season there. Also, his brother Brandon played for Aliens last year. So Rush family is very much in tuned and has experience within the Big Three. And this year he decided that he's going to return, so he's going to be a Big Three prospect again. And then our second interview following that will be CJ Watson of Killer Threes, who, as we all know, another guy who's been to the final stage, was a runner-up, a key cog in what Killer Threes did and will probably be doing this year. He'll be an essential part of their team. Both are pretty brief interviews, but I think we got a lot of good stuff out of them. So we hope you guys enjoy, and let's get you both in. Okay, today we're blessed to have on longtime NBA vet, first-round pick by the Raptors, then traded to the LA Lakers right away, and one of the OG players in the Big Three for Three-Headed Monsters, Kareem Rush. Appreciate you coming on the show, man. How's everything going for you?
Everything's going well, man. Appreciate you boys having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Want to start with your family background just a little bit. You obviously grew up in a household where you and your siblings were all, it was very basketball centric. You guys were all hoopers. You guys all went the distance. What was it like growing up in that household? And I'm sure you guys pushed each other nonstop. So what was it like just growing up like side by side, both your brothers?
Yeah, basketball is pretty much all we know and all we've been known for. My brother Jerron, who was kind of the one who started it all for us, was a basketball phenom. By the time he was in 8th grade, he's the number 1 player in the country. So, from an early age, I knew I had somebody to look up to in the household who I got a chance to compete against every day, got a chance to push me every day, who I can learn from. So having an older brother like him, was definitely a blessing. Then my younger brother, who's 5 years younger than I am, obviously just kind of, learn from us. So, it's been a blessing. We've evolved, done amazing things, from the game. So it's definitely been a blessing for us to, be a basketball family here in Kansas City.
Were any of you like ever considering another sport? Like, no, I'm not going to go to the basketball route. I'm going to do something different. Or has it always been basketball for you guys?
I mean, for me personally, and Brandon, basketball has been the only one. I dabbled it. I ran track in 7th and 8th grade, played a little football in 7th and 8th grade, but wasn't serious about it. But my older brother, Deron, he was great at every sport. You know, he probably could have been a NFL quarterback. You know, he was first team All-State as a freshman as a quarterback. So he got knocked out his freshman year and was unconscious for like a couple minutes. My mom said right then and there that football was out of the question for us. So basketball became the primary focus, and you know, obviously, it led to some great things for us. So, but I had interest in football. If my brother would continue to play, I probably would have played football in high school as well.
When you see families, sort of basketball families that we know now, obviously the balls are the big ones, but even like the holidays, and then you can even go to like the Plumleys, you know, is it almost like an unfair advantage sort of that you have this like elite competition that you're living with every day and you're training with and you're growing up with?
I mean, it could be an unfair advantage, and it could be some added pressure that you may not want. You know, some brothers, like you look at Peyton Manning's brother, his older brother. He doesn't play football at all now. He's just like the comedian guy on Fox. So it could be some undue pressure with that. But for me, you know, like I said, it was a challenge. So I got a chance to go to my brother to the gym with him every day. Brandon was like 5 years younger than me, so he didn't really get a chance to play with us from like as far as the AAU circuit. But me and Dron was together all the time playing. I was always playing up on their teams. So no pressure at all. Like I said, it was an added benefit for me to be able to go in the backyard and play against somebody who was number one in the country. You know, so for me, it was definitely a blessing.
That's awesome. And so now I guess fast forward a little bit, you get drafted, and then you get rights traded immediately to the Lakers. You're on a team with very heavy expectations. And credit to yourself, when the lights shine the brightest, you seem to really come alive. You had an excellent run in the 2002 playoffs. What was it about, I guess, preparing for the NBA playoffs, preparing for a stage with the, you know, preparing for a stage that really elevated your game?
I mean, I didn't really have any pressure on me. You know, my job is to go out there and knock down open shots was what I was known for. So, you know, for me to play well and knock those shots was something that I expected myself to do. So it wasn't no pressure for me. When you're getting wide open shots because of Shaq and Kobe and all the other great players who are, that's your job to knock down shots. But, you know, I was able to step up in some big moments and knock down some big shots. But again, that's what, you know, I get paid for. That's what I prepared for. That's what I worked hard for, to go out there and do that for my team.
It's pretty interesting from your perspective because you played with some greats, obviously with the Lakers coming in. And then when you came into the Big Three as well, you also played on a pretty star-studded team, played with an old teammate of yours. How did you find out about the league first and foremost?
You know, I was always staying in shape, always on the circuit, being out in LA and stuff. You start hearing rumblings about, you know, a new league coming about. And then, you know, as soon as the press hit, guys were like, hell yeah. You know, so I was like, that's what we're looking for. Guys still think they get in shape. You know, always playing in rec leagues and stuff. Now we can get back on the circuit and play and make a little money and still, you know, get rid of that, you know, competitive, you know, spirit that we all always still have to this day. You know, so for us, it was like, yo, this is an amazing opportunity, and guys jumped on it. So I was blessed enough to be able to play in that first year. I didn't play the following 3 years, but Brandon played last year. So I've been gearing myself up, you know, getting healthy, getting back in shape to, you know, make a run at it again this summer. So, you know, it's a great platform. Guys really enjoy it, and it's only going to continue to grow.
Yes, sir. That's super dope. And, you know, you had a lot of really big names on your team, Jason Williams, Mahmoud, Sweet Lou there.
Yeah.
But one guy I find really intriguing is your old teammate, Gary Payton, as a head coach now. What's the difference between teammate Gary Payton and head coach Gary Payton?
Nothing. He talked the same. It's loud, but it's cool and knowledgeable as ever. He enjoys the game. He brings that passion that he played, you know, as a player, you know, to the coaching style. And, you know, and the Big Three is all about entertainment. So having a talker like him and Steven Jackson go at it was definitely a big thing for the league to get him aboard. But, you know, Gary knows the game. He's a Hall of Famer for a reason. But, you know, for us, it was great to be coached by him and, you know, make that run. But unfortunately, we didn't win it, but we had a good run.
I'm curious about if there is a story behind it, specifically how you got involved with, you said the Big Three made aware of it, but what about Three-Headed Monsters? Was there a specific person that recruited you to that specific team?
No, someone went down. That's when Jay Will got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was one of the alternates. So I picked up right after the second game and played the remainder of the season. So it was due to an injury that I was able to get on. But like I said, I had a nice little 8-game run there. Wasn't in the best of shape, but like I said, I'm prepared for it now. You know, the 3-on-3 games should suit me perfectly. You know, being that I'm in good shape, so I'm excited about the combine and the opportunity to get back out there and compete and get a chance to play in it.
Want to talk about the run that you had with Three-Headed Monsters. You guys obviously made it all the way to the playoffs, or to the championship, I should say. You guys actually were leading in that game before Trilogy came back. But
Yeah.
overall, what do you think was like a big like catalyst for you guys to get there? And then
We
we'll
had
just start
Sweet
with
Lou.
that.
We had Sweet Lou the first year. Sweet Lou was the MVP. So Rashard was doing his thing. And we had Mahmoud. People didn't expect nothing out of him. And like I said, we just had a squad. We all played well together. We had Eddie Baston. We had Kwame. So we had some guys to go out there and compete. So, and like I said, once you get hot, in a situation like that, you got a hot hand like Rashard was playing that whole entire year.
Yeah.
We just kind of rode him to the finals.
Yeah, in that finals game, you guys got off to that early lead and faltered a little bit. Obviously, Trilogy's a really good team. What do you feel like was the biggest like game changer in that, where it kind of gave momentum to Trilogy?
Shit, that was 4 years ago. I couldn't even remember the damn game. I just know we lost. They had a squad too. They had Kmart, they had Rashard, they had James White. They had Deion Glover. So they had a squad too. They were undefeated most of the year, so they were probably the heavy favorites throughout the year. So it wasn't no surprise they eventually won it. But we obviously wanted to win it and made our run at it, but didn't get there. But like I said, it was a fun, amazing first year for it. Definitely enjoyed my time. Like I said, I'm always looking forward to trying to get back out there and play in year. What's this, year 5 or year 4?
Year four should be year 5. COVID year 4.
Yeah. So get back out there year 4.
Well, shit. I know it's been 4 years, but still, you've seen the Big 3. Last year you played in it the first year. What do you feel like are the biggest differences that are really like compelling to you?
The competition getting better. Guys are getting younger. They're allowing younger guys to get in. I said they let Sessions in. They had an overseas guy, but he backed out. Like I said, I see more and more guys, younger guys, who are trying to play overseas or do something to kind of get involved with the league and build. Like I said, the higher quality of basketball is how the league is going to grow. So I anticipate them kind of, letting more guys, younger guys, more athletic guys into the league. But, for the most part, it's really going to rely on the NBA guys, those well-known guys to kind of, push the league. It's good to see Joe Johnson coming back and all those guys, so it's going to be challenging. It's going to be a competitive league. And, like I said, like myself, I'm just looking to go out there and compete and have fun.
For sure. And speaking of guys who came in and sort of, or definitely raised the elevation of play, raised the level of expectation in the league, your brother, Brandon Rush, he came in last season with Aliens and he had a tremendous first season. How cool was that as his older brother to see what he did
it was
in
dope.
2019?
Oh yeah, I'm always proud of my brother, whatever he does. So he's overplaying in Greece now, so he'll be fresh to come back, and we're gonna start training and getting ready for it. So I anticipate him, landing a spot in the league as well, especially because he played so well last year. So it'd be dope if somebody finds a chance to put us on the same team. From a market standpoint, that'd be pretty dope. So like I said, I'm gonna do my part, get myself in shape, go out there and kill the combine, and shoot for an opportunity.
For sure. Now, for you as an older brother, is there a preference? I have younger brothers. I've played with them, played against them. What's more fun, to play with Brandon on a squad or play against him? Maybe guard him in a team. What do you think?
At this point, it'd be fun to play with him. We never played it with each other. We actually had a chance to play with each other when he got drafted to Indiana. I ended up leaving that summer for Philly. But if I was staying, we probably would have played on the same team. But I got a chance to play with him a couple times in the league. But either way, we both got a chance to have an opportunity to play in the Big 3. That'd be great. But selfishly, obviously, I would like to play him on the same team. That'd be dope. But if we have to be an opponent, then I'm gonna go out there and bust his ass then.
I love how you think of it from a marketing strategy. I do a lot
of business, so I understand the marketing, how you grow in the league. I got something I'm coming up. You guys gonna hear about here pretty soon, shortly after the Big 3. It revolves around basketball as well. So I understand how to build these type of leagues. So I'm doing something similar. But yeah, it's going to be some exciting news coming down the pipeline shortly after the Big 3.
Okay,
I'm excited.
Super dope. Well, one thing that was really marketed throughout the Big 3 season back in 2019 was Brandon's crossover on Ricky Davis for the win there. Yeah. Man, I mean, anybody and everybody was talking about that on Twitter, especially the basketball community. Obviously, King Josiah on Twitter really went big with it and made it well known. Where were you at during that time, and did you see that live? And what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw it live. I was like, damn, there you go. Be aggressive. Don't let him press you like that. He trying to press up on somebody. That's what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I said, Brandon had a great year. Look across the board, he was up there in a lot of different categories. Playing well. So I expect him to be even better this year, knowing that he knows the game. Like I said, he came off a long season in Greece. So he'd be in shape and ready to go.
What's the biggest thing that you feel like you bring to a Big 3 team now, having experienced that season 1?
I still can shoot. I still can shoot to the best of them. Like I said, I didn't shoot as well as I wanted to the first year. But like I said, I train kids now, so I'm in the gym. So my game is back to where it needs to be. So shooting is kind of what I do, what I'm known for, and that's what I plan to bring. You know, a lot of guys, you know, the 4-point shot has been great, but I want to really, really be the 4-point shot guy and knocking down a couple per game and stuff like that.
Kareem, we've been waiting for that. We've been waiting for the 4-point shot guy. I think the most in a season's been like 4 or 6.
That's what
maybe?
I'm saying. I'm talking about 4 a game, 4 in one game. That's
yes, sir. Okay,
so,
that's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, you're making your return to the Big 3. Obviously, you're going to go through the combine and everything again. What are your expectations for season 4? Even your biggest hopes, coming into the summer here?
I mean, like for guys that always continue to extend their careers, get an opportunity to play. Being part of the first season. Obviously, we want entrepreneurs like Ice Cube to continue to succeed in what he's doing because he helps pushing on guys like me and like I said, extend our playing careers. So for the players, go out there and have fun, continue to build a league, and for me personally, like I said, go out there and compete, give it my best shot. I'd be happy with that, and try to make a team. And like I said, keep having fun.
Yeah, you gotta show these young guys, what's up. With those.
Exactly.
I feel like 40, a lot of young guys about to come
in better shape than 25-year-olds. So let's see.
Well, I feel like a lot of young guys are gonna have this mindset, like, oh, we're gonna, bust the ass of these old dudes. But I feel like they're gonna get a rude awakening.
They will. They will.
One last thing, we really appreciate the time. Got to ask you because I see a lot of you representing the Gentleman brand there.
Yep.
What's the Gentleman brand? And if there's anything else
the
you want to plug
Gentleman brand
in
is my fashion and lifestyle brand. I kicked it off a couple of years ago. So we sell everything from athleisure, everyday essential products. I do lingerie, athleisure, swimwear for women. So we got a lot of different stuff going on with the Gentleman brand. Check it out, thegentlemanbrand.com. Support your boy. It's going well.
Yes, sir. Dope. Okay. Well, we're excited to see you this summer. We appreciate the time. Looking forward to what you got in store after the Big 3, and we'll be rooting for you for sure.
I appreciate it, boys.
Hold on. Sorry. Today, we're pleased to welcome on 10-year NBA vet and Killer 3s guard, CJ Watson. Welcome to the show, and appreciate you coming on in such short notice here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Excited to get into it. Haven't had too many Killer 3s guys on, I feel like, in a while, but I want to start back with your college career just a little bit, because where you went to school kind of resonates with me a little bit here in the Tennessee area. But just wanted to hear, was there any kind of culture shock for you coming from Nevada and then going to the University of Tennessee over there in Knoxville?
No, not really. I mean, I'm more of a city boy. I don't really like the country that much, but my family is from Nashville, actually. So I used to go to Nashville every summer when I was younger. So it wasn't that much of a culture shock. It was just, just far away from home. And like I said, just more country and cold weather and bugs and stuff like that I was used to.
Yeah, no, I feel that because I'm definitely not like a country person either, but just kind of grew up here. And wanted to ask you just about Knoxville because they're pretty prideful of their balls over there. And, they're always talking them up everywhere and anywhere in Tennessee. What was the support like when you were at UT Knoxville? And did you always feel like there were people in Knoxville just like hollering at you, just like, hey, nice job?
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah, it was always fun. The support in Knoxville was crazy because, it's a small city. It's mostly a college town. So when I was there in my first couple of years, it was mostly, football was the biggest sport, and women's basketball. And then we fell down the line somewhere between there. And then in my latter years, it was, we were start to pick up more steam in men's basketball, and football wasn't as good, but the women's team was still always pretty good. But they supported every sport, men's or women's, and there's some diehard fans there.
Yes, sir. Can't agree more.
I see there in the background, you have your books, your children's books that obviously have been very successful so far. I know they were one of the books that was included in like the little elementary school preschool that they had in the NBA bubble. I guess, were you aware that was going to be one of the books included, and how was that feeling that those were one of the books that was going to be in the NBA bubble?
No, so when I saw the picture, I was shocked. I thought it was Photoshop maybe. But it was definitely, an honor and a privilege, to be in the NBA bubble, for those young kids when they were in school, and just seeing my book there, definitely a dream come true. But I feel like I still have, a lot more young kids to reach, and more cities and states to touch and countries.
We see a lot of NBA players write, biographies, sometimes autobiographies about their career, but you sort of went in a different direction with children's book. What was the story behind that decision? And, how are you liking the success you've had so far with it?
I just wanted to continue to inspire kids. I thought just me telling my story was enough, but I want to continue to inspire kids and tell my stories through books. I say, what a better way to reach young kids, and tell a positive message than through a book. So that was kind of the idea. I never really wanted to be an author. It just kind of something that popped into my head, and something that once I started doing the groundwork for, I wanted to continue and finish it out. And this is the end product of it.
That's super dope. Yeah, I don't think anyone ever it feels like nobody ever goes into their career expecting to do.
Yeah.
Or people always expect to do one thing but never do what they actually end up doing. So that's pretty dope that you did that. And just pivoting back to basketball a little bit. I know for you, you had a pretty prolific college career, but seemed like NBA teams didn't think that necessarily. I know you went undrafted and you played overseas for a little bit. Ultimately, you kept your head down and you made it to the league. And you had a long career there. But was there a moment for you, coming overseas, where you realized that the hard work and dream was about to pay off, or I should say coming back from overseas?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely getting undrafted was definitely, I guess, not a shock, but it definitely, was something that I guess I was very discouraged about. And then having to go overseas for my first year, and then not having such a great first year, having a different coach every month was kind of up in arms for me, and it definitely was something that made me lose faith, lose confidence in the game of basketball, and kind of a little bit of myself. But I definitely, found the momentum and found the joy back for playing basketball back in the D League, and just learn how to be a professional and learning how to come to work every day, and and try to have a long career.
Yes, sir. Well, you made it to the NBA. You certainly did that. And you played on the same team as some young stars that we have in the NBA still. Obviously, Steph was one of them. And then when you played in Chicago with Derrick Rose, back, before their ascension, was it pretty obvious that they were going to be superstars in this league? Or did you ever have any doubts, or maybe even your teammates?
I don't think even my teammates had any doubts, especially the year D Rose had. I mean, he was already coming off a great college career. I think he was 1 or 2 years or whatever. Then, his first 2 or 3 years in the league, and him just getting better and better each year and gaining more confidence, and then eventually being the MVP. I think we all saw it in him, saw how great he could be, and definitely he saw it in himself. So that was the main key. I feel like it's the same thing for Steph. Playing with him his rookie year. I don't think no one would predict that he would change the game of basketball like he did, but I'm sure, he put in the hard work. He was always there working before practice, after practice. And you definitely saw the growth, year by year, even through injuries, through things like that. He still persevered and, became the player that he is now.
You were part of a very unique experience sticking to the NBA, part of the Nets franchise moving from Jersey to Brooklyn. We don't really see a lot of NBA. We see a lot of rebranding, a lot of renames, different logos, different colors, but very rarely, especially now, do we see a team actually move. What is that like from a player's perspective, being a part of a franchise that is undergoing such a massive change in their history?
I think it's very different because you have, two sets of fans. You have the new Brooklyn fans. Like every time we played in Barclays, you see a lot of more younger crowd, hipper crowd than we used to practice in Jersey, and then the people over there were mad that the team is leaving and going to Jersey and going to Brooklyn. So it's kind of catch-22, but I definitely think they still support whatever team is moving. And definitely for that year for Brooklyn, we had such a great hype about our team, and we had a pretty good team. Making the playoffs and things of that nature. So I think it's definitely fun to be a part of that rebranding.
Man, that's super cool. Sticking to, or I should say pivoting kind of to the big three, we touched on the Warriors a little bit. One thing I thought that was pretty interesting, I was looking back at some of the guys you played with during your Warriors tenure. You played with a lot of guys that ended up playing in the big three. Just to name a few: Steven Jackson, Corey Maggette, Anthony Morrow, Marcus Williams, Al Harrington. Did any of those guys tell you about the league, or how did the opportunity come about to play in the big three?
So yeah, actually I was teammates with Steven Jackson. He was one of the guys that played on the team, but even I'm still close with Al and Jack now. And they used to tell me about the big three, and I went to one of their games, just through the summer one time. And I always said I would never probably play in the big three when I was done, because it's just too physical. It's the refs really don't call fouls. It's pretty much prison basketball, which is fine. And I love to play. And but I thought it was just something I would play in. I thought once I'd be done with basketball, I'd be fully done with it. But it's definitely fun to get back out there. It's fun to see some old teammates, see old friends, old competitors, and play against people that I once looked up to but never had a chance to play against. Even though their game is not the same as it was back in the day, but it's definitely fun to play against and just trash talk.
Your first game in the Big 3 is pretty interesting. I think it's one of the few games that actually went past 50, and we're trying to find a score. But it was like the game you guys were playing without Stack, and you guys came back to play or went against Tri-State there. What did you learn about that team, like as a whole, and how did that set the tone for the rest of the year, you think?
That team was just a team full of competitors. We were all kind of, I guess, late picks or late scratch-ins to play in the Big 3, I guess. And we all kind of fought, even without one of our best players, our main players, Jack. We still came out and pulled out a victory. And definitely, any of us not ever playing like 3-on-3 basketball competitively, or I guess for a prize or whatever. It was definitely fun to get out there and show our skills and just show that we just come out there to have fun and try to win the game.
What's it like playing under Coach Oak? I'd have to imagine that's got to be a pretty unique experience.
He's definitely fun to play for. He's probably one of my favorites. I had a lot of great coaches throughout my high school, college, even like growing up AAU and all that kind of stuff. Tough coaches who would yell at you, cuss at you. But actually, playing for Oak is not that bad. He's not as mean as people think. He's very, very light, just tells us to go out there and have fun and just make plays and win.
Wouldn't see it from that elbow he used like in that first season. I don't know if you saw clips of that.
Yeah, he hit I think he hit Al in the face.
Yeah.
Went out there to play, was taking some poor shots there and caught somebody with an elbow. So that was pretty entertaining though.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't want to play. Once I'm done with the NBA, I feel like I'm done getting injured.
I'm done getting elbowed in the face. I feel that absolutely.
Felt like you were pretty comfortable with like really within the second game though. I think it was the first game Stat came back. You had like 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists in that second game, and you just looked like you were really aggressive getting to your spots. Did you feel like there was any kind of learning curve or adjustment coming into the Big 3?
Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just basketball. And I played 3-on-3 basketball growing up my whole life, so I know kind of about spacing, about help defense, and pretty much in 3-on-3 there is none. It's either that or you give up an open shot. So and it's kind of the younger team, the faster team, the team that who can score the most and score the most points fastest. It always is ones that win. So I was just out there just playing basketball, just having fun. No really scouting report, just going out there and just kind of just having fun.
Yeah, definitely felt like with 3-on-3, it like takes a little bit of time just to get comfortable because there's so many less guys, I guess. Yeah. But that was cool, to see you go out there and ball out like that. And felt like you were kind of in sync with your teammate there, Dante Green. I don't know if you knew him prior, but it seemed like your games were always pretty on par or in sync. Just when you guys were out there whether you're coming off the bench or starting. Do you feel like there was like your styles of play just really synced up well, or did you just have good chemistry off the court and that translated on the court there?
Yeah, so I never knew Dante before that. I obviously played against him in the NBA a couple of times, but never knew him personally. But like I said, I just thought he was a great player for our team. He can shoot the ball. He's a big guard who can guard and switch off to multiple people. And I always used to tell him if I drive to the basket, most of the time either they're gonna help and I'll find you in the corner or wherever you're at, or if they don't help, I'll just get a wide open layup. So it was kind of just, like I said, just easy basketball, just playing the game and taking what the defense gives us.
Nice. You ended up taking part in what would end up being the last Big 3 game, unfortunately, for a little bit, and that was that championship game in Staples Center. It was a packed-out Staples Center against the Triplets and Joe Johnson. Obviously, you guys didn't come away with the win there, unfortunately. But I guess talk about the atmosphere that was there and the anticipation from your guys' end.
It was definitely fun. We were talking about the championship game ever since the first game of the season. Honestly, we thought we had a team to beat everyone we went up against. Having 2 guards like myself and Frank, and then Jack, Dante, and then we wanted to play big. We can go with Eddie Curry and Josh Powell. So I think our whole team kind of clicked and it kind of went well for us.
Yeah, and I feel like that team is still pretty solid. I mean, obviously they took a big loss with Jack moving over to the coaching role and then also coaching for Trilogy. And that man loaded up his team right away, added Zebo and everything. But
Yeah, he's cheating.
right, exactly. He's like, oh, I know I'm going to be coach, so let me get one of the best players coming in that is new to the league. But that being said, you still have a really solid team, like I would say one of the better foundations, as we're trying to figure out who's coming back and who's not in the big three. But first off, is your plan to come back? And then if so, what do you feel like in your eyes does your team need, in order to get back and have a different outcome in that championship game?
Yeah, I'm definitely, want to come back if they want me back. I haven't talked to anyone from the team yet, but hopefully that's the case. But we'll see. At the end of the day, if I play, I play. If I don't, I don't. It's all good. I'm still going to support the league and stuff. But I think if I do come back, I think probably just need maybe another bigger guard, a guard who can score, shoot, play defense, switch out to multiple people. I think that's kind of the name of the game in the big three. Just be able to guard. If you get switched on and take advantage of the mismatches.
For sure. I mean, I've been on record of saying that I think the open captain spot for Killer Threes is probably the most, lucrative spot in the big three right now that's currently vacant. I mean, you have a ready-made championship contender, and absolutely, like you guys said, losing Stack is huge. Stack was, I feel like the engine for that team, but you just named sort of a player that you would like to see there. Are there any names that pop into your head? Guys maybe from the big three, maybe outside of the league that you would love to see fill that spot?
Honestly, I don't even know. I haven't looked into it too deep. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fine. I respect that.
But I'm sure there's a lot of names out there. I mean, just a name off the top of my head, I would say Jamal Crawford or someone like that, maybe, or Vince, like they've been posting about in the big three and stuff. But other than that, like I said, I haven't looked, kind of too far into it. I guess I'm not really a captain. I don't have to pick and choose those kind of people or make those choices. So I guess I really don't really care.
Well, yeah, the good thing is you don't even have to go to the combine this year. You suit up and play and you meet your new teammates. So that's going to be dope.
Right, yeah, it'd be fun.
Well, we already said, CJ, that you played with all these guys, so you're the one with all the connections. So they might be texting you, be like, CJ, we need you to text so-and-so. We know you played with him back in the day.
As if those dudes don't know those dudes too. Like,
yeah. If I was a captain, I would have some pull, but I'm not a captain. I mean, maybe we change that. And, I'll have some more pull. Then I can help people out.
The spot's open right now. It's a battle of who's left.
Right.
No, we appreciate you coming on. Last thing I want to ask you is, as you just finished up your trifecta with your books, do you have any other projects in the works, as an author, or do you have any other projects just in general, from yourself? I know that you've been, it looks like you're an angel investor in the UNEST app maybe, but I just want to see if you had anything else that you're working on right now.
Just I'm trying to finish my fourth book right now. I'm just trying to decide like what the process is, where I want to go with the story, and finish up the storyline, things of that nature. Then hopefully, turning the book series into a cartoon or something like that, or maybe even a movie. You never know. But I definitely want to continue to see it work. Guys like Kobe, like Kevin Durant, and Michael Conley win the Oscar. That kind of inspires me to write some stories and continue to just to put the stories out there and let the world see it and feel it. And if they like it, get rewarded for it like they did.
That's awesome.
Excited to see what you have in store. We appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this summer, and we'll see what your team ends up looking like. It's going to be exciting.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. That was our 2 interviews with Kareem Rush and CJ Watson. 2 guys looking at the upcoming Big 3 draft from pretty different points of views. One guy's trying to crack back into the league. The other guy's going to be a part of hopefully another championship contending season. So it's really fun to see those 2 point of views. We really appreciate you guys for listening. As always, you can find the show on YouTube, your preferred podcast platform, and on Dash Radio every Saturday. We appreciate you guys. Also, I got to give a shout out to Stack the Deck. Our jerseys came in. Yes, sir.
We're
absolutely.
Fresh.
Looking fresh. We're the freshest looking team in the rec league. So I'm excited. I appreciate everybody who's listened, and we will see you guys as always next time.